Welcome back, everybody. 20 towns in 20 days, continuing tonight in Mystic. Historical and charming, of course. It's a place known for so much more than its famous pizza.
Yes, and even though we're throwing it back to the 90s, of course, this year an iconic bridge is turning 100. Channel 3's Marcy Jones is live in Mystic tonight with details on a big celebration plan. Hi, Marcy.
Hi there. That's absolutely right. We are so excited to celebrate and really honor this staple that has been in Mystic for 100 years. If you were around when it came, I mean, good for you. You're probably using eye cream right now. I can't. We're both laughing out here because this is really incredible. You know, sometimes people get a little annoyed because it makes a little traffic and a little noise, but we love the bridge just the way it is. And we just found out that the tender that has been taking care of the bridge for the last 33 years is retiring. So we've got to throw him a celebration as well. But as much as things have changed, things have stayed the same. So we are talking Mystic then and now.
Some of the most pivotal places for the youth in the 90s are no longer standing in Mystic, but their memories live on in the hearts and minds of those who frequented them, like BB Dairy.
BB's was famous for their very sort of bad coffee, but it was bottomless. You could have as much as you wanted, and we were all raised on it.
Before Michelle Gemma was the prolific artist and photographer she is today, she was just a kid from Mystic, and the food scene hadn't blossomed either.
Now it's a new day for the foodies, you know, in our lives. You know, they love all the restaurants in town, but back in the 90s, there wasn't really a focus on where can I go get oysters.
The options were few, but classic.
We were lucky enough to have BB Dairy. It was a famous diner that was open for basically the whole entire day, and the biggest thing about BB Dairies was that they served breakfast all day long. So waffles, pancakes, the omelet special, and the ever famous bottomless cup of coffee. Mystic Pizza was one of the only other restaurants in town. You know, you could go get, you know, pizza and fries. There weren't a lot of restaurants in the 90s, and that was like a big key change to what we're seeing now.
Back in the 90s, Mystic local Rich Freyas was all about music, more specifically his band, 17 Relics. Rich remembers being inspired by small-town players who made it big.
REM and Sonic Youth were huge pillars for almost every musician that I knew. And REM was a pillar because they were just normal people from a little town. And Sonic Youth were these archaic geniuses who were doing something that no one had ever heard before.
The Reducers, New Johnny 5, and Paisley Jungle were hot on the Connecticut music scene. Rich says in hindsight, it all came down to the shared foundation of living in Mystic.
That was one of the problems with the Relics. We were always a little ahead or a little behind of the curve. But really, the central tenet of everything that we did was this sense that we were completely dependent on each other.
It was an exciting time, the 90s. The movie Mystic Pizza, starring a young Julia Roberts, just premiered a couple of years earlier, bringing attention to the otherwise relatively quiet streets. And in the summer of 1992, the famous Mystic River Bascule Bridge was just 70 years old. Today, amid a landscape of new shops and restaurants, locals are preparing for the centennial celebration of the iconic landmark.